On Friday, we told you in a Global News exclusive about a Winnipeg psychologist being called before Manitoba's provincial regulator in connection with her work with trauma patients. The doctor facing scrutiny because her patients' employers, the Canadian Armed Forces and the RCMP, take issue with the PTSD diagnosis that person has assessed. My Global News colleague, Melissa Ridgen, spoke with the head of Whistleblower Canada, Pamela Forward, asking Forward, based on what has happened here in Manitoba, with a psychologist who says she's being targeted because she won't bend to the pressure from Veterans Affairs Canada and the RCMP. Pamela telling Global's Melissa Ridgen that it's rampant in several federal departments.
It's a systemic problem, this problem of retaliation. It's the whistleblowing paradox, right? The situation where people are often professionals in particular, like psychologists, like engineers. You know, we can go through a long list. They're obligated, right, to report up the line anything that's wrong. The paradox is that when they do, they get punished often. And it's happening amongst professionals, but organizations in general. Our organization has realized that focusing only on legislation is not going to do it. First of all, we do need legislation, of course, to protect whistleblowers. By the way, Canada doesn't. The legislation we do have covers only federal civil servants, for the most part, which is about maybe 2% of the workforce. So that means 98% there's no legislation. We're not looking just at laws, because one of the first things I found was that if you introduce a law into an unwelcoming culture, it will not be properly upheld, no matter how good it is, even if it has the 20 best practices. But at least it would give lawyers something to work with.
Why is this happening?
All of these things that are happening to these people, you can be sure they're against the written policies in the organizations. So where is this violence coming from? Well, it's coming from us and from our basic human instincts, which have remained in us since we worked or lived in caves, the perception of threat. So what's going on is these people who speak up, they're being perceived by people in power as a threat. So in this case, it's a threat to their authority, to their budgeting. But where it's not acceptable is where everybody else, all of the bystanders, they join in. And that's part of that instinct that's in us that was acceptable when we were in the cave and got us through to modern times, but it's not acceptable today because now we have intellect, right? So when you're in groups, your basic instinct is still, as when you were a caveman, look to the leader, look to what everybody around you is doing, and you conform to those pressures. Very few people will stick their noses, stand up and say, no, this is wrong. And the other one is obedience to authority.
Pamela Forward, workplace mediator, researcher, founding director of Whistleblowing Canada. Global's Melissa Ridgen joins us now live. And we understand why this occurs, the human nature of it, but it sounds like we've got such a far way to go in this country for those people that come forward to protect them and ultimately right these wrongs.
Well, that's exactly it. And when after the story aired on Global News and on CJOB, you yourself can attest that the floodgates just sort of open. And this isn't specific to, one psychologist or just the RCMP or Veterans Affairs. It's systemic. It's happening across a whole bunch of professions and largely a problem within the federal civil service. We've definitely heard that.
Global's Melissa Ridgen joining us live. If you've got a story, you can reach me directly, richard@cjob.com, melissa.ridgen@globalnews.ca. We're continuing to follow that story about the psychologist and the broader picture of this. It's 5:57.
680 CJOB Business.
And Everwell.